Hello and welcome to part 21 of the Johnny Blender 2.0 series. This is David Ward, and in this section we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup on the hair. Now remember we used the vertex group to add the hair to this model. However, it's not really wanting to behave the way I'd like it to. You can see some of it's kind of thin up here on the front, which I'd like to have more control with that, which, we could go ahead and paint some more hairs individually on there, but with the vertex group controlling where the children go, we're not going to be able to get a lot of thick hair in there. So the vertex group can be useful for maybe if you're doing an animal or something that has a lot of fur and you just want to paint that on there, have some thin spots here and there. But I guess for our head hair, we also need to go ahead and do the same thing we did with the eyebrows and eyelashes, and just have the children come from around the particles rather than the faces. So let's go ahead and go to our head hair settings there, and just go ahead and pop it back to particles. And you can see immediately that it kind of thickens up around some of those edges that we were playing with before. Now, another thing you might notice is like the hair kind of looks kind of squared off. It's not very smooth and round. So let's see if we can't do something to smooth that out. Now, it's going to probably be up here in our render settings. We checked strand render. If we go ahead and check B-spline also, we have the option to control how many steps it takes. And it doesn't look like it's changing anything, but I guess when it renders it will. Let's go ahead and go into particle mode, and you can also see path steps right here. So if you increase that a little bit, it goes ahead and smooths that out some more. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more hair around the forehead area. I just went ahead and turned off the limit to turned on the limit to visible. So let's go ahead and grab the add, and just real quick, let's just add a few in here. Make sure your interpolate is still turned on. Now there's some places, let's go ahead and give him some, I know this is based on me, but if it's going to be a superhero, or not a superhero, but sort of, I guess, Johnny Blender is like, I don't know, the Blender superhero or something. Anyways, maybe we'll kind of make him look a little more like Wolverine or something, with some big mutton chops coming down. We'll see what that looks like. We might not like it, but some of these hairs are a little bit out of place, like right here. Don't have hair coming up quite that far. Tell you what, let's turn our children down a little bit so we can navigate a little easier. About down to 5 should be fine. And I guess it's also because we have it limited. There we go. Go into side view, we can see this measure up a little bit easier. Okay. And the hair is not really the way I wear my hairstyle, but I guess it'll work for Johnny here. Let's go ahead and add a couple more places along some of these thinner areas. There we go. And since we have the X mirror turned on, it adds it on both sides. So, okay. Now, you know what? Since when I took the picture, I actually had a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow. Pardon me. There in the reference photos. Let's go ahead and give him some whiskers there. So let's go up and let's go ahead and turn these off. Let's go to our modifiers tab, and let's go ahead and turn off all of those guys so we can, I guess we have to come out of particle mode first. There we go. Let's go to our particle settings and add one more, and we'll call this Whiskers. Okay, and this is also going to be hair. And let's set the emission, actually the velocity down really small, about like the eyebrows or eyelashes. That's probably good, about right there. Maybe even a little bit smaller. Let's try 0.02. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, and let's go ahead and turn it down to 0. All right, and now we will go into particle mode yet again, and let's go ahead and make sure everything's set up right. Good. Now we'll just go in and let's make our brush size a little smaller, and just start painting in some whiskers on here. Yeah. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice when you're doing this is if you still have interpolate turned on and there's nothing for them to get the direction they're trying to go, they'll just stick straight out to the side. So let's go ahead and turn that off for the rest of these. You notice that these are actually coming straight off of the surface now rather than out to the side. Oops, a little too much right there on the... There we go. Okay. Maybe a little bit more here and there. That's pretty good for some whiskers. Let's go ahead and comb those back where they're going a better direction. Let's get our strength up there. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn off the mirror right there so we don't get that crisscross going on there in the middle. Kind of comb these in the way that they would grow on the face. Okay. Now we will give these the same material as we have on the eyelids, or excuse me, eyelashes and eyebrows, which is, let's go to our, I believe that's the second one. Yes. Go material 2, and I guess we can go ahead and give this some children as well around the particles, but we don't need near that many, so let's say 5 on each one. That might even still be too much. And let's lower our radius, maybe make the round area a little bit bigger. And I think 5 is still too much. Let's go down to 3. And make sure we have strand render turned on. And go ahead and use B-spline as well. Okay, so now if we go to our modifiers and we turn on, let's collapse these so we can get them all on screen at the same time. Let's go ahead and turn all these guys back on. And you kind of get a view of how this is going to look. Kind of a grizzly, you know, good for nothing. Maybe not good for nothing, but it's what the cops think. He's good for nothing, but he's really our hero. I want to fix those eyebrows up. They're looking kind of weird, so let's jump on there real quick. Particle mode, comb, and we'll just comb those out. Maybe give it a little bit of an arc. Make him look like he's angry. Jack Nicholson or something. A little bit of an arch there. There we go. Okay, let's just see what this looks like in our render now. See how the whiskers look and the eyebrows and the little bit of hair tweaking there. Go ahead and render this out. That'll take just a second. I'll go ahead and pause the recorder so you don't have to sit here and wait. Okay, tell you what, Blender keeps crashing on me when I'm trying to render, so we probably have some of our hair settings a little too high. So let's see if we can't fix some of that. Let's go ahead and go back to our, let's try our head hair here. Go down, probably got too many steps right here, so let's bump that back down to 3 is probably good. And we'll go ahead and save this. And also, when we go into particle mode, the path steps here is probably a little too high, so it was set to 2 in the beginning, and then I set it up to 4, which might have been too high, so let's just do 3. And we'll go ahead and save. By the way, I went ahead and saved just number 21. And back to object mode. And let's go through each of our particle settings and make sure they're all on strand render. So browse, render, yep. Eyelashes, yes. Okay, yeah, they all are. Let's make sure they all have B-spline. That one does not. Let's go ahead and use that. And the brows probably do not either. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this now. And now let's see if it'll render. Yeah, it looks like it's going to now. So sometimes those particle hairs can really take a toll on your memory. So if you find your scenes are crashing because you're using too much hair or fur or anything, whatever, just lower some of the settings like that, and it'll fix it right up. Okay, looks like the whiskers are looking pretty good. Got the eyebrows straightened out for the most part. Might need to touch up around the corners right there. And our hair is looking okay. Might need to comb it just a little bit because that mirror modifier was turned on. It looks like it's a little too symmetric right there, especially in the middle. But for the most part, it's starting to look pretty good. Let's see. Let's go ahead and sidestep. Let's go ahead and save this. And let's just take a break from all this hair that we've been working with. Let's go ahead and turn all that off, or turn the view of it off. And let's make a little, start working on maybe a little jacket thing for him, just to cover his shoulders and down the chest a little bit, like like a statue of a bust. It's kind of the shoulders and kind of a tapered shape down to the chest area. So let's go ahead and add a plane. And I'm gonna move this over here to start behind him, and let's actually center that up. Let's go on the top view and Z into wireframe view, and let's zoom in here, get that evened up, centered up right there on the green line, and we'll tab into edit mode. Actually, let's add a mirror modifier on there first. There we go. And now we can move this over. Let's come back out of wireframe view. Okay, now let's turn the clipping on, and it looks like I'm pivoting around my 3D cursor. Let's just set it to the median point, and let's scale it down, get it up there. Okay, so now we'll start getting it like let's make like a motorcycle jacket type of thing. So it'll be a nice form-fitting, well, I mentioned he would kind of look like Wolverine before, so let's give him a very stylized jacket. Something that maybe Wolverine would wear. So right now we're just, remember, if you hold on control, you can just click and that'll extrude out to where you're clicking. And just move that until they glue themselves together. There we go. And now let's kind of straighten this up. Just kind of start with just like a t-shirt type of shape, and then we'll tweak that and make it look a little better. Okay, so we got our basic collar outline. Now let's raise this area up here. It's going to be for the shoulders. Let's go ahead and select the whole bottom row of it, and we'll go ahead and extrude out. Just going to drag it, maybe scale it up some. Okay, let's do it one more time. Let's go with the side view one more time, about like so. Then I want to move these guys out and up, maybe kind of start shaping up where the shoulders would be. Okay, so that's a pretty decent shape. Maybe a little bit more roundness right there. Tell you what, let's go ahead and turn on the tab back into object mode. Turn on the smooth shading, and let's come over here and add the subdivision surface. There we go. You can already see it looks pretty good, like a shirt, more or less. But we want to turn it into like a motorcycle jacket that's zipped all the way up to the top, so he won't have a shirt underneath. Okay, and now we need a collar. So let's grab this whole row here except for that point. And you know what? I'd like to make the collar really close right there. So let's go ahead and add a loop right there. There we go. Now we'll select everything except for that one. And now let's extrude that up. Maybe scale it down just a little bit. And I want to straighten this up so it's a nice smooth line. Okay, so that looks pretty decent. And a lot of times after you've turned something to be smooth and then you extrude afterwards, you need to hit smooth again. So anyways, that's just how you gotta do that. Okay, so we got our collar, but now we need like where he zips it up. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and turn off clipping for right now, and let's go ahead and grab these guys and move them over so it separates. I'm gonna move that over as well. Okay, and now we're gonna add this modifier that's called solidify. Well, actually, first let's apply our mirror. There we go. And we'll add this modifier called solidify. Now what that does is it takes something that's just a single-sided object like our plane that we started with for our jacket, and it adds thickness to it. So pretty neat little thing. But you can see from the edges here we need to go ahead and add some more divisions to our underlying mesh there first. And maybe one across up here. There we go. Okay, so now let's add some thickness to this. There you go, maybe 0.05 be about right. Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and save. Now let's go ahead and name this. Open up our properties panel by hitting N. Scroll down to item and name it jacket. Okay. Now let's add some let's add some fanciness to it. Let's put a couple of stripes up here on the shoulders. I kind of have a motorcycle jacket like this myself, so I'm kind of modeling after it. But anyways, so let's go to top view and just click up here by the shoulders and Shift A, and let's go ahead and add a plane, and let's scale it down now. Go into front view and just bring it up above there. And let's scale it on the x-axis pretty little ways, and then scale it on the y-axis to thin it up. And now let's tab into edit mode and let's subdivide it quite a few times. Let's grab just these two sides, W subdivide, and let's expand this so we can see our number of cuts area there. Bump that way up. I guess 10's the maximum. And now let's select all of these guys and let's go ahead and subdivide those as well. 3 times will be fine. And now we're going to use a modifier called shrink wrap. And I'm going to use that to put this stripe on the surface of our jacket here. So we'll just go add modifier, and it's called shrink wrap right there. And now I will go to the target and select the jacket. You can see it deforms it to where it's fitting right on top of there like that. And you can change some of the levels here. We'll say it offset a little bit so it actually sits on top of there, and you can say keep above the surface, and that'll help too. And let's tab in here and let's get this situated a little bit so that it can span the whole length rather than just part of it. Let's make it a little longer on the x-axis there. Rotate it a little on the y-axis. And you can kind of see it as you go. Right there. Let's bring it up some. There we go. And let me go ahead and add a I guess we got to come out of edit mode first. Let's add a subdivision surface to this one as well. Let's actually do that on the stack before the shrink wrap. There we go. That should help a little bit with that. Let's go ahead and subdivide it, I guess, a couple of times. No, that's not very pretty, is it? Let's go ahead and drop that back down. There we go. Tell you what we can do. Let's go ahead and help it out rather than just having a straight line, telling the straight line to perform the way we want. Let's just kind of situate it like that ourselves. Kind of the vague shape there. Maybe cut some of these off. There we go. Okay, so that should, yeah, that's a lot better. And I want 2 stripes, so let's select all that and hit Shift D and bring it on the y-axis up a little bit, about like that. Let's go ahead and rotate it. Okay, so we got a couple of stripes on there now. Sometimes if you hit Alt A by accident, it'll start your timeline. And now let's add a solidify modifier to this. Solidify modifier. It's kind of hard to say. And set its thickness as well. Well, the shrink wrap's wanting to interfere with that, so let's go ahead and apply that. And now we can add the solidify. Thickness. There we go. Well, it works, but it doesn't really look that good to me. So I'm just gonna delete it. Maybe we can do it with a texture map instead. Okay, let's do a couple of more things before we call this one done. Jeez, it's been almost 30 minutes, but let's add another loop right here along the bottom of this, so we have a nice crease right there, like so. And we also need to go ahead and grab that and pull it out some. it's not quite even, I guess. Let me move it. There we go. Okay, so that's looking pretty decent. Tell you what, let's go ahead and, well, the way this is arranged, we probably don't really need to add too many seams. Let me just add a seam right here along the bottom of this. Control E, mark a seam, and I think that'll do it. Let's go ahead and tab out. And why not? Let's go ahead and unwrap that. Go to our UV image editor and tab in edit mode there, and we want to create a new image. These settings will be fine. Let's go ahead and turn on UV test grid. Okay, come out here and go ahead and unwrap those and select them all, UVs, average their scale, and then pack them as they're already pretty decent. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this image. We'll just call it jacket texture. Okay, go ahead and save. And now that I've got that unwrapped, I'm going to go ahead and apply. The mirror modifier was already applied. Okay. I want to go ahead and overlap the edges of the jacket here. Maybe not overlap really, but bring them together to where there's no gap there. Maybe we'll throw a zipper. Excuse me, a zipper handle thing on there later on too. So anyway, so let's go ahead and save that, and tell you what, let's do, just for the sake of seeing what it's looking like, let's maneuver our camera around here a little bit better. Not quite a dead on shot now. Go ahead and save, and let's do a test render here, see what it's starting to look like. Oh, one thing I want to do before that, let's go ahead and escape out of that render. Something that really makes the scene look a lot better is if you have a good background, and that gray background that we have. So gotta kill out my render window. Here we go. That gray background that we have, it just doesn't work too well as a good background for a render. So we'll just go ahead and turn it completely black, and we'll go ahead and save it again. And now let's do a test render now, see what it looks like. Take a couple seconds here. It's starting to look pretty decent, I think. Doesn't really look like me too much anymore, but I don't have this type of hairstyle and all that. So, okay, so that's going to be all of part 21. It did drag out a little longer than expected, but hopefully that'll be fine. So anyways, as I said, that's all for part 21, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in part 22.